morning, all of you. Today, our main the focus is to give you an overview about geospatial technologies, what we can find in information age. As ICBT Kandy campus, always we are providing you the latest knowledge, what is required by the industry, as well as what is required by specifically the country as well as the globe. Therefore, we always serve this as a kind of our responsibility as well as a duty to educate our the people, especially in Sri Lanka as well as around the world, based on whatever the capacities, whatever the experience, whatever the technologies, what we have. In terms of this technology, this is the widely the use around the world nowadays, but because of the fact that the technology the base awareness is comparatively lower, especially in South Asian countries, the expected the level of the usage of the geospatial technologies are not capable of seeing nowadays as per the expected level. But in terms of the organizations wise, even in Sri Lanka, we can find most of the times government organization at a higher level use this technology in order to get done various the work what is very much important in terms of decision making. Especially in terms of Sri Lanka, the government organizations wise, especially the survey department as well as Sri Lanka military, as well as especially the agricultural the sector, at a higher level the technology is used. But because of the fact that this is actually available within these organizations, but there is a very much less chances available for people to get to know and make use of this technology for day-to-day life oriented purpose. But on the other hand side, in terms of the commercial organizations such as leading telecommunication companies in Sri Lanka, they are making use of this technology in order to give their level-based support for their subscribers, their customers, in order to keep in touch with the organization, as well as in order to give online real-time awareness based on these the technologies. Therefore, we can't say this technology is something very new or is something renowned technology for our country, but we have been using for years of time. But only the problem is that the expected level of the utilization, the percentage wise, even the public wise, cannot be seen as expected level. Therefore, as ICBT Kandy campus, we thought of providing you all the necessary, the basic knowledge in order to start this the technological the based what we call the career in future, with the support of the various the programs what is conducted by ICBT the Kandy campus. Especially we provide you the accessibility to Bachelor of Science in Software Engineering, Bachelor of Science in Business Information Systems, Bachelor of Science in Information Technology, offered by Cardiff Metropolitan University, as well as Master of Science in Information Technology, offered by the Cardiff the Metropolitan University. Therefore, all these program-wise, you can find this technology-oriented components that we are delivering specifically in order to educate our students. Therefore, you have enough facilities, you have enough accessibility in order to get to know about these technology locally at a very much affordable the price. So that also need to mention, because these technologies are usually expensive, but because of the resources what we have locally, we are in a position to cater you at a very much affordable price. So that is what in terms of the purpose of this particular the webinar series, even especially aiming at the geospatial technologies. Now, as a professional in IT field, so when I was starting this the IT career, there was no any particular avenues available in Sri Lanka, especially to learn the technologies, because of the fact that at that time, I'm talking about 1.5 decades before, because of there were no the proper setup available in Sri Lankan universities to cater the requirement at that time what it was existed. But later on, time to time, because of the various educators as well as professionals, the efforts, right, has become successful. Therefore, now we have the capability of involving with this technology in order to fuse with our day-to-day life-oriented problem to solve, as well as organizational, higher-level problems to solve in order to find out the solutions in a much more effective and efficient manner. As a kind of a preface for this the technology, because some of you, this technology may be the first time that you are get in touch with, or else first time that you are hearing even. Therefore, I would like to give you a kind of a preface for this the technology, because this is a vast area. This is something that we can't talk and finish within a few hours time, even within weeks, because such a higher speed the technology is being developed, and new more technological specialized domains are being attached with this. Therefore, it is the gradually the developing oriented subject. Therefore, every time we need to focus ourselves in order to learn whatever the updates available around the world. And the other thing is that sometimes you may be wondering about, especially why do we need to consider about these horizons of geospatial technology? Because it's not just one horizon, it's horizons. The reason is that this is what a fusion-oriented technology. What I can say is that it's a combination of many technologies together. Therefore, we can't engage with the subject area having a particular knowledge. But we need to have, as an example, the knowledge about the computing, the knowledge about satellites, the knowledge about remote sensing, the knowledge about geography up to a certain extent. So these type of the knowledge areas have been attached with this subject area. Therefore, it is a fusion oriented technology domain, right? In terms of the geospatial, the technologies, if I want to pay your attention, is that let's assume like I am available at the moment ICBT Kandy campus, right? And my location details, as well as my the place where I am available at the moment, is very much crucial in order to understand about what is the location that I am delivering this particular lecture. Therefore, my existence as well as all these supportive staff, the location can easily be mapped with the support of this geospatial technology. Therefore, mapping is a very much integral part of this technology. And at the same time, right after identifying my location, then some more information can be attached with this the particular the program. As I mentioned, what is the location? It is for the ICBT campus, and we are delivering this in a special the theater available here, and we are explaining about geospatial technology for the people around the world, as online as well as through Microsoft Teams. We are in a position to deliver this. Therefore, when we combine our location, my organization location, as well as the information about this, especially the lecture or else this the webinar, all together we can collectively can call as geospatial information. Geospatial information, because geospatial information always needs to have the location information. Apart from that, it is actually combined with the non-geospatial the data. Then it actually get a meaningful the term, because the location only does not cater any particular the meaningful the facility. But when we join spatial data with non-spatial the data, then the meaning is automatically degenerated. Therefore, our main idea is to give or else produce meaningful data, and with the support of this meaningful data, provide much more supports to take informed decision making. Therefore, we always need to consider about how are we going to associate with geospatial data, what technologies are we need to especially the join with this particular process, and what type of a knowledge we need to have in order to associate with this. Therefore, learning geospatial the technologies always gives you added advantage, added benefit, irrespective of your subject domain. You may be an engineer, you may be a doctor, you may be an educator like us, or else you may be very much the busy scientist, or else you may be a politician even. So every profession wise, there is a particular part to play with the support of this geospatial the technology. Therefore, no one can say this technology is not going to be supported for their life because of this is something not specific to always the IT, but this is something very much supportive for all the professions. And around the world, this is at a higher level use, especially the developed countries like USA as well as the European Union. At a higher level, these technologies are used. Even in India, we can find at a considerable level geospatial the technology usage. Therefore, this is something very much valuable for our lives to engage with further and further the various type of job-oriented the duties. So as I mentioned, the geospatial or is spatial. Sometimes the people nowadays call as spatial information. So the spatial information wise, it is very much important to identify the location. Therefore, if we can find any particular data with our location, where are we available, or else what is this place? Usually we refer this one with the support of latitude and the longitude. Right? We know that any place on the earth is very much easy to recognize with the support of this specialized the mathematical the hypothetical the grids what is created in order to do the calculation about the places. Therefore, latitude and the longitude combined together, so we can identify our location. Therefore, usually this latitude and longitude oriented space identification that we do with the support of GPS devices nowadays. So we are going to discuss about the GPS as well today briefly. Therefore, it is something very much the common to us, because we know that even like when you log into the social media, it's like it can be the Facebook or similar like any other application. That we are in a position to the place give our place information. Where are we available at the moment? So it's automatically taken, and then accordingly it is possible to track our behavior, right? And at the same time, knowingly or unknowingly, most of the organizations make use of right, this technology, especially the customers, the tracking purpose. Organization do this one based on proper understanding, but the customers, they are not in a position to sometimes understand whether the behavior, their mobility is being traced. Therefore, nowadays this is at a higher level used, especially for online based, even internet based, the various application oriented, because to trace the mobility of the customers, because that generate more advantages for the people, especially in order to recognize customer, especially behavior to actually create the customer profile, and through the customer profile, companies can recognize what type of product and services are required to be catered for such kind of customers. As an example, now think about, at the moment I am available in Kandy. Therefore, my location details are very important for the companies in order to recognize what type of product and services are needed for me, because by looking at especially the geography as well as the weather condition of the Kandy area, therefore if my the mobility is throughout, let's assume 1 week, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or else the more time period available in the Kandy, so that actually gives the organizations to think about specialized product and services to cater. Now, as an example, let's assume now if this time period is a rainy time period, therefore the organizations like eBay and Amazon.com, or else even the local any such kind of organization can do some promotions based on let's assume the different type of the product and services. As an example, if the time period is a rainy time period for the Kandy, then they are in a position to promote some various type of the cloth wear in order to protect from the rain, as well as some specialized umbrellas, right? As well as the medicine companies can easily come up with various type of the medicine in order to overcome possible the cold and fever oriented the health problems, such a way different analysis possible to be done. And even if if my mobility is actually changed into different location, now let's assume I'm now traveling into Nuwara and I'm going to stay for a particular time period there, then the organization get to know about now the place has been changed and the atmosphere, everything has been changed, and the weather condition also changed. Therefore, different product and services are required to be catered according to the time period. Now, Sri Lanka wise, we can't find actually very much the higher level differences in terms of one geography to another geography, because of the fact that Sri Lanka is a small country. But in terms of the big countries like United States, the Russia, even England and Canada, as well as India, even the China, like those countries, it is very much right important to recognize various places oriented the weather conditions as well as the geography, because of the fact that there are a lot of differences we can find in terms of the people's behavior from place to place. Okay, but it doesn't mean that we can't apply this technology for our country. We can easily apply, right? But in terms of the application wise, these are very much crucial when it comes to especially the land area is very much higher and then span across many the kilometers, many thousands of kilometers. Okay. Now we have a particular advantage in Sri Lanka, especially to apply these geospatial technologies very much easily. Right? That is one of the very rare advantage we can get when we consider about especially other part of the world. The main reason for this one is that, but majority of the people, they don't know it. Why this technology is very much attached to us. The reason is that any particular geospatial technology to apply much more effectively and efficiently, it is very much important to have land surveyed of the country. In other words, each and every part of the country should be properly measured using a systematic the procedure by government or as private organization. Therefore, every area of the country is possible to be seen, and as well as the measurements are available for the purpose of identifying the location. As an example, Sri Lanka's any part is possible to be traced with the support of the GPS signals, with the support of GPS, the various the applications. That is what programming Sri Lankan road network is very much easier, because of the fact that Sri Lanka Survey Department has done already years before. The full surveying has been done especially within the island. Therefore, Sri Lanka is considered to be one of the very much feasible and highly advantage oriented country to apply geospatial technology. Whereas if we consider about very much higher land masses oriented the countries like the USA, Canada, European Union countries, like not each and every part is actually surveyed, right? Because of the fact that there are some practical the reasons, problems also available, and feasibility wise sometimes may not feasible. Therefore, only some areas can be covered. But in Sri Lanka, 100% is possible to apply this geospatial technology because of the surveying. The very much important part, very much essential part has been done by Sri Lanka Survey Department. Therefore, we don't have any particular problem. It's a matter of make use of this application and learn this technology, and then apply for our various type of objectives to be achieved. It can be an education objective, it can be a commercial objective, it can be any other research the purpose oriented objective. So we should be able to apply this at our level best, because we are in position to make use of this technology at the highest level. Okay. So that is what, in terms of the Sri Lankans wise, we have the added advantage available with this geospatial the technologies. But majority of the people, they don't know about this. And the other thing is that the feasibility wise, I need to raise my concern, especially people sometimes think about the technology wise, these are quite expensive in nature. It is true that some technology, the platforms are quite expensive in nature, but in terms of open source oriented the support available for the global community, now that problem also has been considerably reduced. Therefore, there are many number of free applications available that you can easily download and then make use of for your various the purpose. Therefore, finance is not a major matter nowadays, because such a high level there are free applications are developing by especially open source software development community. Therefore, we have that such a higher advantage in order to make use of this technology at a higher level. And on the other hand side, as you already aware, like location based tracing is, as I mentioned, usually done with the support of GPS signals. So the GPS signals are usually available freely for everyone to make use of. Therefore, we don't have any particular higher level financial concern in making use of the GPS signals even, right? But there are some specialized the devices, if you want to make use of, we can use like something like the drones as well as specialized aircraft in order to involve with this the location tracing. But that is also needed if organizational level wise, if there are specific duty to accomplish. As an example, a few years before, you might have seen that Meethodumulla, the garbage, the dump has been actually devastated, and then there were many people died because of that. Okay, so that particular problem, even some of most of the people who were available close surrounding to that Meethodumulla garbage bin, they lost their houses as well. And after this the problem occurred, or as this unexpected situation arose, then Sri Lanka military, with the support of the government, with the directions of the government, they involve in especially tracing this the area properly, and then identify whatever the regions that not suitable for people to live. So they had done a lot of work in order to trace the area and to identify, isolate the people, and then actually restrict for people's the behavior or as a usage purpose. And this was mainly done with the support of Sri Lanka Army and Sri Lanka Air Force, because Sri Lanka Army and Sri Lanka Air Force, they have even Sri Lanka Navy also, but there are special units available for especially geospatial technologies and geospatial technology based equipment, the development as well as software development purpose. There are separate units available in Sri Lanka Army as well as Sri Lanka Navy. Therefore, they engage with the tracing of this the Meethodumulla garbage dump with the support of the drone cameras. Okay, so these the drone cameras and then higher sophisticated the technology platform, right? All these supports given by this organization, though those are expensive in nature, but as organization those are affordable to purchase. Therefore, as general public, we should not worry about especially acquiring the technology, whether we need to invest higher amount. These are readily available for us based on our purpose. So most of the times ordinary individual do have day-to-day life oriented small things to supported with the support of these geospatial technologies. Therefore, accessibility is very high. Organizations wise, they can apply more and more this technology based on their especially the purpose. So if the purpose is little higher, right, or as a wide scope, then accordingly they can invest money on that. But for the general public, the accessibility has been provided at a higher level by the various organizations around the world. Some are public organizations, public government organizations, some are commercial organizations. Therefore, the feasibility of accessing this is readily available in Sri Lanka. Okay. Now we move into further learn about the area of this the technology. Beforehand, we will try to understand what is the basic or else what is the definition of this the technology. Now, as I mentioned, if we are going to use any particular technology, that is to recognize a particular location and the location oriented data what is associated with, in order to process and get a particular very much valuable output that actually generate more advantages for the people, organizations and the stakeholders of such system. So this type of a technology we call as geospatial technology. Therefore, geospatial technology, one of the rule of thumb is that the place location, right, is very much importantly fused with other data what is associated with particular the thing or else of scenario what we are looking at. So that is very important, place information or else what we call as location information. This location information we can easily get based on two type of especially the concern wise. One is that the dynamic location, the other one is that the static location. Especially the static locations are what we can find is that very rarely or hardly change places, areas available within a city or else within an area. As an example, the buildings what is located in Kandy or else buildings what is located in Colombo or else any part of the world, those are not going to be changed quickly over a time. Therefore, these places where this building is located, right, building does have an address and building is situated within a specific geography. Therefore, it is very easy to find out the location, because even you can reach the location either by your own vehicle or as public vehicle or as even by foot you can reach this place, and even you can take a photography and then identify the place. So this type of place identification we call as static recognition of the geospatial data. Static recognition, because these are statically available, even the road network, everything considered to be static geolocations. On the other hand side, if you want to get to know about a particular person mobility or a particular vehicle's mobility, particular aircraft mobility, then we need to consider about dynamic the location details, because the place is going to be changed from time to time, from minute to minute. Therefore, the tracing is very much important as a dynamic manner. Right? Therefore, in order to trace this dynamic information very much larger manner, we make use of GPS signals as well as satellite the various signaling mechanisms, because that is very much important to dynamically trace the people behavior, people mobility. And at the same time, these the locations are very much easily be found with the support of cell tower, what is deployed by various organizations, various communication organizations around the world, even specific to our country as well. The cell tower, now every cell tower within a particular location, there is a particular area or a range is covered. So within this area, range is static for a particular cell tower. But when we consider about another particular cell tower located in a different place, then that cell tower's range is also right, static or is not going to be changed over a time because it is specific. Therefore, when we make use of the cell cover range or a cell coverage range, cell tower signal coverage range, and the intersection points of various cell towers, we are in a pursuit to identify people who are equipped, people who are having or is equipped any particular telecommunication related device, and that device is capable of reaching the cell towers signal communication. Therefore, using the cell towers also, we are in a position to recognize especially the locations. But in terms of the worldwide, what is the best mechanism to recognize the place, identify the place, or else to get involved in the geospatial data is with the support of the GPS signals. Okay. Now, this geospatial technologies, as I mentioned earlier, it is actually a collective. It's not just one technology. It's actually a fusion of technologies, or a collective number of major technologies, right? So out of these, the major the technologies what is involved for geospatial the subject arena, we can find the three major subject domains, such as global positioning system, the GPS, second remote sensing, third geographic information systems. Now these these three technologies do have three purposes, right? Not the same. Now, as an example, if we consider about global positioning systems, or as we call as a GPS, the main idea is to find out the location of people or as places or things very much effectively and efficiently. Right? Therefore, place identification is done with the support of GPS. Second, remote sensing. Now, the remote sensing is needed in order to get to know about various areas, places, and the nature of the places information. As an example, if we are involving with the city planning, it's very much important to have a very much clear idea about whole the city area and what type of buildings are located and what type of road network is available, what areas are commuted, what areas are the commuted. So that can be analyzed by looking at the images of these the places or as these areas, and at the same time area classification also we can easily do, because of some areas are used for the purpose of industrial specialized manufacturing purpose, some areas used for the purpose of education purpose, some areas are used for the purpose of healthcare facility service oriented, some areas used for the purpose of recreational the purposes, and based on the objective of the places or else the service of the places, so there are specific areas we can easily identify, but that we need to have actually images or else the photos or else even any particular what we call as the diagrams. So these the photos or else this imagery are being taken based on three systems. These three systems are what we call as space-bound system, air-bound system, and ground-bound system. What are these three? Space-bound systems, ground-bound systems, and the air-bound systems. Now, space-bound systems are nothing but remote sensing satellites what is orbited around the Earth. Therefore, every time these satellites are scanning the Earth and then taking images about various parts of the world, especially on the Earth areas, and these are kept and then for Earth stations various image processing purpose. Now, good example is that something what we know the Google Maps, Google all these applications get details about the Earth's surface with the support of this especially the space-bound systems. Now, the space-bound systems are really expensive. Therefore, those are usually managed by either government organizations or else very much high-class private organizations we call as blue chip companies. Most of these satellites are belongs to leading countries around the world: USA, Russia, China, India, likewise. Okay. Therefore, the satellite, remote sensing satellites images are very much important to cover the whole Earth and get an overview about various parts of the world. And that is what we call as space-bound systems. The second is an air-bound system. Now, if you want to have a coastal map, or else if you want to focus a particular area and then get images about such area, as an example, recent past, I would say last year, there was a scanning done in the whole Kandy area by University of Peradeniya Geographical Department. That is to do traffic planning as well as city planning purpose. For that, what they use is the specialized high-resolution camera-bound drones. A collective number of drones they use, and the drones, right, were capable of scanning the areas, but not as large as these remote sensing satellites, but specific to a particular kilometers range. Therefore, the airbound system-wise, we can easily recognize drones, or as we call as unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs. As well as we can make use of specialized aircraft, right, with special scanning equipments fixed in order to recognize and then take the images of the particular city or as a province likewise. Okay. Sri Lanka does have one such kind of aircraft, and that belongs to Sri Lanka Air Force at the moment, but it was donated initially for Sri Lankan Survey Department, but because of the fact that those days there were no facilities to maintain that aircraft, now it has been given to Sri Lanka Air Force to do these scanning operations. So the aircraft also considered as airbound systems. And some developed countries at a higher level use the balloon-oriented, especially helium balloon-oriented, the camera-fixed devices, again in order to trace the areas or take the images of specific areas. So this, what we call as balloon-oriented, the systems, camera-fixed also we consider as airbound systems, right? Okay. Now it is something like, now we have seen some practicals, some feasibilities were done by the Google Loon project few years before, but that is not for the remote sensing, but is for signal repetition purpose. But that is also good, particular the way of the scanning the Earth areas, especially Earth surface areas. Even not only even the sea also can easily be traced and then take the image based on these specialized the balloons. So that is what we call as airbound systems. So we discuss about space-bound and we discuss about airbound. Another the system is there, that is what we commonly use. Now, as people, right, what we do is that we do have a habit, if we attend a particular place, that may be new place or some specific event-oriented place, we tend to take photograph using our mobile phone. And what we do is that we upload these images to our social media channels. Or else we make use of this one for further editing and then make use of for our research purpose. So we may take an image based on our smartphone, or else using a high resolution camera, or else similar any type of device. But we are available on top of the Earth there. So these what we call as earthbound systems. So any particular camera, high resolution or low resolution camera is used, or a similar like device is used, stand still manner and then take photograph of a particular area, and then that data is further processed for decision making. Such kind of system we call as earthbound systems. Therefore, usually we can find at a higher level earthbound systems. That is what the people are familiar with, because people can see easily. Another good example is that the Google Street View. The Google Street View has been actually introduced with the support of this the ground-bound specialized camera system fixed on a particular the vehicle moving. Therefore, in order to recognize the streets around the world, a particular, they use the Google, they are nowadays also using, they use a camera fixed sensor based special vehicle, and then while it moves, it takes images of the places and the people, and then they make use of this for their the Google map and the Google street various information processing purpose. Therefore, the ground bound at a high level used by the people in order to collect details about the places, especially imagery or as image oriented the details. And that is the base on remote sensing. And the other thing what I need to mention is that when it comes to now the GPS, as I explained to you, it is also supported by the satellite. But usually GPS satellites are positioned more than 10,000 or 11,000, 12,000 kilometers away from the Earth's surface. So those are available in the high altitude, those satellites. But when it comes to remote sensing satellites, those are available around 2,000 kilometers away from the Earth's surface, or else 1,000 kilometers away from the Earth's surface, like lower altitude, because it needs to take the closer the images around the world in order to take the various decision what is required by various organizations. Therefore, you need to have an idea about these space-bound system-oriented altitude. So, higher altitude satellites available for the GPS signals, as well as for lower altitude-oriented satellites available for remote sensing purpose. We will get to know about what varieties of satellites available for this remote sensing as well as the GPS purpose. And the other thing is that based on these two systems, what I would say is that remote sensing satellites are individually capable of producing the required details or as taking the images. Whereas GPS satellites, or as what we call as global positioning system oriented satellites, can't actually work individually, need to work as a group. Therefore, what we call as GPS satellites as constellation of satellites, group of satellites. As an example, USA satellite system, that what we use more commonly as GPS, so they have more than 24 satellites deployed around special orbits of the Earth in order to provide us the various radio signals related with the location. Therefore, for us to get to know about particular place oriented accurate detail, at least at that particular point of time above the position in the space, there should be at least 3 to 4 satellites in the close vicinity, right? Because 3 satellites actually provide much the better details about the location, but 4th satellite is needed in order to give a particular or solve a particular timing, microsecond timing oriented the problems. Therefore, if there are 4 satellites available based on the location what we are sitting or is what available, then we can get the very accurate the position in details. So it works as a group, but remote sensing not work as a group, but as individual satellites. So that is the difference based on this satellite system. There are more to learn about this, but I'm briefly explaining you. If you need to have the knowledge about this, we have accessibility for those knowledge here, so you can easily get to know about the further about how these things are delivered. These knowledge is delivered here. And third, now I'm moving into third, Geographic Information System, GIS. Now what is about this? This also comes under geospatial technology. Now we know that we take location details, we take images, but we need to have a platform in order to do various type of processing what is required by professionals, organizational, the individuals, even research students, even the undergraduate students, or as people who are willing to involve with any type of modification, update, analyzing these collected details. Therefore, there should be a specialized the platforms for us to process already collected data, right? And for this, there are specialized systems developed by various organizations around the world. One of the leading organizations in providing these services is recognized as S3 organization. So the S3 organization is pioneered in especially providing geospatial or as GIS, Geographical Information System oriented applications. These are available as desktop versions as well as mobile versions. Likewise, even internet-based version also available, online versions also available. So they are the one, I would say, the standard makers. But at the same time, there is another particular organization available. That is that what we call as quantum GIS or as QGIS. The quantum GIS is what it is what global open source the community get together, and they have started the project in delivering free of charge the GIS application in order to increase the accessibility to this technology people who are interested around the world. Therefore, what I would say is that the S organizations products are usually licensed products, but very much reliable, but not easily accessible because you need to purchase, right? Quantum GIS organization products you can easily access because those are available free to download online, right? So those are the two pioneer organizations around the world at the moment in order to deal with this geographic information system oriented the applications. So GIS is a system as well as it is equipped with specific application. So when we install GIS system, GIS application in a particular computer supported by the various other devices, so we call this one as system, GIS, Geographic Information System. But until it is installed in a hardware platform or else even in a mobile platform, we consider it as a GIS application, Geographic Information Application. Okay, but when we consider all these connected devices as well as the storages and everything together, then we call it as Geographical Information System, right? So that we need to consider at a higher level, especially our program wise, the MSc IT as well as BSc the program wise, we are allocating specific the time periods for students to get in touch with this the GIS application because these are very much interesting as well as very much easy to handle and readily available the results if you do the operation quickly. At the same time, the knowledge is also highly versatile, and you need to update time to time. Therefore, very much interesting. Most of the students are very much happily involving with the GIS application, what we deliver here, especially what we give knowledge, because then they actually consider even for higher studies to select this subject area because that is very much interesting nowadays. And the other advantage of the GIS application, you are involving with the real-time data as well as involving with the true data. It's not something hypothetical because if we take a particular area of the country, so that is really existing. And if you take the details of people of that particular area, organization of that particular area, so those are what? True information specific to that location. Therefore, involving with the GIS applications considered to be very much interesting as well as very much indeed needed if you want to become a professional in this information age. The reason is that information age we consider as information is a commodity. You can purchase and you can sell and you can produce. Therefore, if the information needs to have a value, so that value you can increase with the geospatial data. Decision making can be further make efficient with the support of the GIS the applications. Therefore, Therefore, it is considered to be in the data science field one of the integral part nowadays. Even we discuss the more data science related subject in MSc programs, what is delivered here. So in these the MSc programs offered by the Cardiff Metropolitan University, we can find very much higher level attention is given for data science subject area, along with the utilization of the spatial technologies. Therefore, this is not something that we do theory based, but truly we are involved with the practical based exercises. Now you can see here, in terms of the GPS, you usually understand GPS as a kind of a general the service. It is true, it's a service, but the GPS term is usually attached with the USA, because it's a technology name actually, right? It's a technology name, but all these GPS services catered by various the countries around the world comes under geopositioning satellite services. Okay, so out of these geopositioning satellite services, GPS considered to be the leading. So you can find here the GPS is provided by the USA, the technology for location identification, and the GLONASS is provided by Soviet Russia, and Galileo satellite system is provided by Europe Union, and Beidou satellite system is provided by China, Republic of China, and then IRNSS satellite system is provided by India. Now, these are the leading geospatial location giving satellite services available around the world. But out of these 5 satellite systems, the last 2 satellite systems are not capable of catering the services throughout the world, because Chinese satellite system as well as Indian satellite systems are usually used for the purpose of their territory oriented location identification purpose, but not for everyone to use. Therefore, we have the accessibility freely around the world with the support of USA, with the support of the Russian satellite system, and with the support of Europe Union satellite system, because these 3 satellite systems are pretty much readily available for anyone to access to find out the location. Okay, so always remember, GPS, GLONASS, Galileo enable any particular mobile phone or else any particular smartphone will give you highly precise location details when it comes to compared with GPS only enabled device, right? So that also you need to consider for. And the other hand is that especially these the services, right, what they are giving freely, we can actually access using, as I mentioned, using our smartphone we can access, and at the same time we can access with higher accuracy if we have handheld devices, GPS receivers if we have, right, like example Magellan is a good GPS device. Therefore, we can access these location details with high accuracy with the support of this type of specialized handheld the GPS receivers. A smartphone, even the details are like you can find some accuracy related, some small accuracy related, some meters oriented accuracy related problems. Therefore, if you want to consider high accuracy, high precision, then you need to consider about handheld devices like special GPS receivers without depending on the smartphones or similar like other devices. But these smartphone and other devices are very much supportive for not very much high precision what we call as geo analysis purpose, but recognize only particular area oriented mobility, right, or else the movements. For such purpose these little inexpensive devices can be used, but not for high precision job to be accomplished. Such as, for example, military never use what we call as mobile phones or smartphones to find out the location, they use sophisticated handheld GPS receivers. So that also you need to keep in mind. Now, in terms of GPS signals broadcasting, now they broadcast throughout the time the radio signals in order to captured by any particular device. So once the device is captured, this the GPS signal what is given by the satellites position 1,000 kilometers away from the Earth surface in specific orbits. Then the device try to communicate with the satellite and then identify what is the location. So location identification wise, at least you need to have three satellites. Okay, the intersection points of these three satellites can determine what is the exact location. Now here you can see the middle location is the exact point where a person who is available with the GPS receiver. Right, this is a 2D analysis. But let's assume if the person is jumped, right, upwards, right, jump, then like the time that the person is available on the air, if you want to recognize, then we need to go for 3D, the calculations, what is given by the GPS systems. Therefore, we can find the calculations, the mechanism in two ways. One is that trilateration 2D and trilateration 3D. So the image 1 indicate trilateration 2D calculation, and image 2 indicate trilateration 3D the calculation, because 3D is what more frequently used in order to find out any particular the person or its object, even what is available on the air, right? Especially aircraft, even especially drones, or as any airbound oriented the moving or as still any object can easily be recognized using this the 3D calculation. But for the 3D, usually we try to make use of 4 satellites signals, because we need to consider about highest level accuracy. So that is the difference between trilateration 2D and then 3D. Then sometimes you may wonder what does mean by this trilateration. Simply trilateration in the sense that we make use of location the calculation with the support of signals given by 3 satellites. Therefore we use 3 satellites the signal coverage. So that is what trilateration. But in this case, we never consider about the angle of this the signal produced by the satellites. What we consider is that how long available from that particular GPS enabled device to the satellites. So the distance we measure. So based on the distance measuring, when we identify a location, then that is what we call a trilateration. The same time, some people misunderstand triangulation. Usually triangulation is used by surveyors in order to identify a particular location where they don't have any particular detail, but with the available points on the earth, then they and the angles oriented details what they have, they try to identify this unknown place. So if angular the measurements also used to identify the location, then such kind of the calculation and finance we call as triangulation. But GPS systems never use triangulation, but use instead trilateration mechanism. So that is for you to get an idea, because if you want to find the best the time or its most accurate time, you need to use what? A GPS signal. Then with the GPS signals you can find accurate time, because we don't need to make use of even our wristwatch to find out this. So if someone is asked how to find the accurate time at this particular moment, because the time and the speed at which this satellite sends signals are being traced for this calculation purpose, because we for these calculations we consider light speed for signal the sending purpose, right? And the distance is measured how long receiver time to receive a signal propagated by a satellite, and then that is multiplied by the light speed. Then we can find what is the distance available from that particular location to the satellite. All these things are done based on the time, as I mentioned, time. Therefore, GPS system does have world-based time, the system, timing system. Therefore, with the satellites, we can find the best time. If you want to find the right time to synchronize with your wristlets or your mobile phones, better you go to ATM machine and then request a slip, and then that slip you can find precise the time that is common to any part of the world. So that is the highly precise time that you can synchronize with your clocks or else your the smartphones if you want. So this is something extra I wanted to give you, because everything based on the time, right? And now we it's about the uses of the GPS. Now we know it is to number one usage is that that is to find out the location, right? The other thing is that is to support the data management. Especially now you may wonder, then what we need to consider for the data management. The data management example, think about the ATM, right? Asynchronous so automated teller machines. So this is a network. So every transaction required to be happen based on a specific precise time. This time is managed by GPS signals. Therefore, wherever the location that you do using whatever the ATM machine, transaction time going to be same. It doesn't matter whether you have done different type of bank oriented teller machines, but time going to be the same. Therefore, the data management wise, time also going to be very much crucial, because if the transaction time is different, then there are possible the losses we can see, as well as problem we can see, especially for transferring money, withdrawing money, as well as the updating the accounts and so forth. Therefore, the managing the data also highly use this the GPS. And the third, investigators can easily revisit the same site for long-term research, especially for various investigating purpose. Authorized people can visit the places and can trace the places for a long time period, and they can get to know about what type of differences available in that particular location throughout the time periods. Therefore, such purpose we can make use of the GPS as a means of data processing, and allow others to verify the results. Especially GPS, they can make use of in order to verify the results. Whether, as an example, if you want to get to know about a particular person has reached a particular identification from a source location to a destination, right? So based on the identified or defined time period, or else is there any particular delay occur. Therefore, such kind of analysis wise, we can easily do. Example, I would say nowadays GPS small devices are fixed in even vehicles, even in some organizations in developed countries, even as a wearables also used. So those actually give details about what places visited by what type of vehicle, or what person has visited what places within what time period. All these are used for the purpose of the verify the results. Therefore, GPS to have large, enormous type of advantages as well as uses. Only out of many here, we can find some few pointed out. Now, in terms of the GPS end user, I haven't included anything here because of I explained this. GPS end user, it is what the person having any particular GPS handheld device, or a mobile phone, or else any particular GPS signal receiving capable device that is to communicate with the satellite. So we call as GPS end user. Usually, if you have a mobile phone, all of you are GPS end users, simple as, okay. But this end user also can be actually differ from usage of the this GPS signal. If this is used by an organization, then end user going to be an organization. If this the GPS signal used by ordinary person, then only for actual purpose the GPS signal is used. So the scope of the usage is different from person to person, from organization to organization. So that is why GPS end user is being focused here. Now further to the remote sensing. Already I explained to you about the remote sensing as a part of geospatial technology. Therefore, as I mentioned, remote sensing main purpose is to collect images and compare these images. Remember, in terms of these remote sensing images, there are two varieties of images are taken by especially the various type of system, space bound, air bound, and ground bound. The number one difference is that the resolution wise, some images are high resolution, some images are low resolution. Some images covering vast area, some images covering small area, specific area. Therefore, we need to recognize what type of image type we are going to use. And out of this, especially if I pay you attention to space-bound systems, satellites, because we make use of these at a higher level, like Google Map. So there are two varieties of images available. One we call as panchromatic, the other one we call as multispectral. Now the panchromatic images are high resolution but black and white in nature. But whereas multispectral images are colorful, because these images supports for various the bands in the especially electromagnetic the spectrum. Okay, therefore the colorful, but not that much of clear. But if someone else wants to have very much colorful as well as very much beautiful image where things can easily be recognized, then we need to join these two type of images together. That is, panchromatic images need to be merged with multispectral images. But we need to, in such cases, we need to consider from what satellite systems are we going to take these images. Now the Google map is very much good. When you zoom in, you can see on at the bottom of the image, the details are changing from what organization providing these images, because they use various space-bound satellites in order to get these panchromatic as well as multispectral images in order to give the very best zoom in image for requirement. So that you need to always remember. But, when it comes to this image, the collection or its utilization, some satellite system provide these images free of charge. Some actually consider a particular financial benefit. Therefore, we need to make sure, based on our capacity, our capability, our the requirement, whether are we going to get free data or else, whether are we going to get paid data. So that is there. Okay, I will show you satellite system what is available freely for you to access these the images and so on. But very much interesting subject area. And the other thing is that having these specialized what we call as the sensors, right? We call as instruments in the satellites. Usually, every satellites do not have this panchromatic as well as multispectral scanning devices. Right? Only some satellites are having panchromatic as well as this multispectral. The instruments, we call this one as technically instruments because these are sensors and these are very expensive. Therefore, very high expensive satellite system, we can find both these the sensors, or else if the expensiveness is comparatively lower, then we can find one of these instruments or as sensors. So that also we need to consider. Right. And as I mentioned, if you want to analyze image, so best consider is that human scale, right? Whether a human can be recognized properly or not. So that based on the human identification, if you are going to do any analysis, so such we call as human scale. So for that we need to have high resolution colorful images. Okay, and at the same time for the observation we need to narrow down the area. If you want to if you want to analyze the Kandy or as a Colombo, we need to take the whole Sri Lankan image right from the satellites, and then we need to zoom in and then do the analysis. Therefore narrowing the field of view is very much essential. So that is also part of the remote sensing. So there are many added integral activities are available, especially with this remote sensing, but for you to get to know about, I am briefing what is very much important. Now here you can see the remote sensing low resolution. That means we collect low resolution images, basically is very small area, right? And what is collected systematically, and for this one we can either use space bound or else air bound or else ground bound oriented system or as a camera, right? So such we call as low resolution remote sensing. But if we want to have higher resolution image analysis, then we need to make use of especially the combination of the multispectral and panchromatic images. Here you can find the multispectral images nature. The images are in colorful. All the good example is the Google Maps, and able to discern material type. Okay, we can easily recognize the objects based on the colors. And post processing often required. Post processing means that usually satellites are sending these details for us as raw images, right? Therefore we need to use a GIS or a specific GIS enabled image processing application to get done or as to convert these raw images into a product. Usually as an example, ArcGIS, QGIS is capable of doing this work. And at the same time, image processing applications such as aerodynamic imaging, the applications are capable of producing these raw images into a product. So that is also there. That is also part of learning of this subject domain. And usually these are higher cost. Now the cost high means it is not the processing cost is high, but the instrument cost is very high. Satellite cost is very high. So that is what I'm saying. Therefore, usually organizations, if we request multispectral images, they basically request some more finances to support such. And the next variety, as I mentioned, we can find the panchromatic, black and white, and usually wider field coverage oriented images, and difficult to interpret. Now difficulty in interpretation means that because only two colors, right? So the variation is that black and white. So we can find only few bands to analyze. Objects we can't analyze with the colors because of only black and white available. Therefore analyzing you need to take more time. But if you do this operation, multispectral images and the panchromatic images combined together and then produce multicolor high resolution image product, then analyzing is much more easier. That is what people are very much attached with this Google image and similar platform, because they are providing products but not raw images. Now here you can find remote sensing satellite platforms, right? What you can make use of, right? Even you can browse and see these. Right? There are the 25 such platforms available. That now these platforms provide you the necessary details, necessary images around the world. One is that number one, Google Maps, Google Earth Pro, the second ranked one, and the third is NASA World View application. All you can access online, and the map box and the streets world imagery. These are very much interesting applications. You can easily access this application online and then register yourself and check whether what type of images, what type of products that you can get. Most of the time they are providing free of charge, especially for the students. Therefore, you will have more chances in working with this. And satellite systems wise, now these are applications, these are satellite systems. Already we discussed about two satellite systems, basically that is GPS and the remote sensing. But in general, there are 5 satellite systems available for us to discuss. One is that open data satellites category. Second one is that commercial satellites. Third is that weather satellites. Fourth is that geodesy satellites. And the fifth one is that ocean satellites. So these the 5 satellites, the categories are providing various type of services. Okay, so we will one by one get to know about these satellites and what type of services provided by them. Now here you can see with the satellite image that I have included. Now the Landsat is what very commonly used for the purpose of remote sensing or a remote sense data to deliver. Anyone in the world is capable of accessing this Landsat satellite series. Now the latest one is the Landsat, I can remember Landsat 8. So Landsat 8 series images, Landsat 7 series images you can easily access, because this is a separate the satellite the system providing remote sensing details. Therefore, usually open data satellites are refers to or is related to remote sensing purpose, or else give earth images as per various requirement of government and the organization. So here we can find 8 the base such satellites. Landsat is not one satellite, it's a series, remember. It's a series of satellites, Landsat 1, Landsat 2, Landsat 3 likewise. But the Landsat 1 is now not the working. The latest versions are working perfectly. And then Sentinel satellite, you can see the image, Terra satellite, Envisat satellite, Corona satellite. Remember, this Corona satellite is something like you can familiar with. Sometimes you may wonder whether it is related with this particular pandemic situation to observe or else to analyze. Actually not. This was actually years before orbited in order to classify various part of the Earth, but much more effectively. Therefore, it's not related with this the COVID-19. Okay. The 6th one, Earth Observing 1 Mission EO1 satellite, and here we can find Earth Obs EO1, here we can find EO1, and the China Brazil Earth Resource Satellite is what the middle you can find, CBERS, and 8 Project for Onboard Autonomy, the satellites. So these 8 satellites comes under open data satellites. Anyone can request data, and on approval they can get Earth imagery. And the commercial satellites. Now these satellites never give free of charge data. What they do is that they sell images, they sell data. Therefore we can find the Worldview, Planetscope, and the satellite, the poor observation DTRA, we call as a spot. Spot images are high resolution. Remember, that's why these are expensive. You can't freely get this. You can pay and get. These are very high resolution images providing, especially for government, private sector organizations, for various analysis and country planning, city planning, road development planning purpose. And the RadarSat is another such commercial satellite. Iconus is also another similar like satellite. And the QuickBird also similar like the data providing satellite. And the ResourceSat, this is also similar data providing satellites. So these 7 satellites comes under commercial satellites, which provides details about the Earth upon payment. And there are another a few satellites also we can recognize, another 7 or we can recognize under this category: ComSat, RapidEye, Pleiades, Cartosat, GeoEye, Disaster Monitoring Constellation DMC. Especially for disaster management purpose, we can make use of the satellite. But I don't know Sri Lankan Disaster Management Department making use of this satellite, because these are expensive in nature. Therefore, it's a matter of feasibility of the finance. And the SkySat. So these also comes under commercial category. You can visit these the websites and then get to know about. Along with the satellite, there are organizations available, and you can further get to know about how are we going to purchase the images and the details for various purpose. The next category is the weather satellites. So the weather satellites wise, always they are providing the weather details. So if we can find location detail along with the weather detail, it's going to be very much accurate. Okay. So in such case, we can find tropical rainfall measuring missions satellite, geostationary operational environmental satellite, we call as GOES satellite, and national oceanic and atmospheric the satellite, Administration NOAA, and Meteosat, and Aquasat, and the Cloud Aerosol LiDAR and Infrared Pathfinder. Infrared is a special, again, another the scanning technology introduced for the purpose of accurate images to collect. And then television infrared observation satellite, we call as Tyros. So these are the weather satellites what we can recognize what is available in different Earth orbits around the Earth. And further, the CloudSat, Aura, Suomi, and Polar Orbiting Operational Environmental Satellite, POIS, and Soil Moisture Active Passive, SAP satellite, SciSat, and ActriMatsat, and Megatropic. So these are also weather satellites, and I need to mention most of these satellites are owned by either USA or as a European Union, because of the fact that these are very expensive satellites. Therefore, most of these organizations available with them. Then that is the reason that geospatial technologies are highly effectively used by these developed countries, because they have accessibility to these systems very much effectively. And geodesy satellites, the category, something very much interesting for us. Now, these are the satellites that comes under GPS signal providing satellites. Right, GPS signal providing satellites. The number one is that Global Navigation Satellite System, GNNS. So under GNNS, already discussed GPS satellite system, USA, European Union, as well as China, India, all belongs to this GNNS system, Global Navigation Satellite System. Second, Shutter Radar Topography Mission, SRTM, and the Gravity Recovery and the Climate Experiment satellite system, we call as the GRACE. Gravity Field and Steady State Ocean Circulation Explorer, especially ocean related various analysis purpose, this satellite is used. And then Magnetospheric Multiscale Mission, MMS, our magnetospheric the area identification purpose, this satellite is used. And Advanced Lands Observation Satellites, ALOS, also such a valuable satellite system. And the Terra SAR, or as we call as Tandem X, is also another supportive satellite system. And the Mars Orbiter Laser Arithmetic, or as MOLA. Now here the eighth one is not belongs to our Earth. This is to scan the planet of Mars and then its the variation. So this satellite is specifically bound especially in the orbits of the planet of Mars. Therefore, these details are not related to us, but all the other satellite system related to our Earth. And then satellites for ocean, especially for ocean variation, even ocean, what we call as the waves identification, even lot of analysis purpose, also satellites use, satellite systems use. These are what we call as joint altimetry satellite oceanography, we call network, JSON, and Sea-Star OBView satellite system, quick scat satellite system, and soil motion, ocean salinity, or as we call as SMOS satellite system, and ICESat are some of the leading satellite systems what we can find. Now we discuss, we are heading towards the GIS, or as the last the technological part. So far we have discussed about remote sensing, and we discussed about further the GPS the based the systems, and now we are moving towards GIS. Remember, GIS main purpose is to process georeference image or as georeference objects what is relevant for our various analysis as well as various the calculation purpose. So as any particular GIS system or a geographic information system, there should be four facilities provided. One is that create geographic data. We can create geographic data. We can manage geospatial databases, or as we call as spatial databases, databases which does have images even shapes of the various places as well as the data. All together we call as geospatial databases. So managing geospatial databases also part of the GIS. And analyze and find patterns. Now what are these patterns? Now patterns are what we call as, especially it can be development patterns, it can be traffic, the moving patterns, it can be the various soil eruption patterns, it can be city development patterns, right? It can be patterns we recognize along with the changes of the weather as well as the people behavior. So everything we can easily visualize with the support of this GIS system. So the GIS systems, the main, the purpose is to engage with geospatial data. And the geospatial data can be, as I mentioned, images, or else we can consider as a vector data. The vector data means that digitize what we call the images, where we can put the data inside that. Especially any particular what we call a city plan, what we do, right? And then we can digitize the areas based on the lines, polygons as well as the points wise, and then we can make use of for various analyzing purpose. So this is what we call as a vector data. The raster data already I mentioned, panchromatic or multifractal images we can analyze, we can process using the GIS system. So these are the basic the advantages by GIS. And at the same time, as I mentioned, synthesizes different type of geospatial data. Different type of geospatial data. Some data related with the cities, some data related with rural areas, villages. Some areas are based on the very much the flatland. Some areas are mountain oriented. Therefore, variations of the geography oriented the data we can find. So based on the geography variations, we can find differences in especially the information generated from that as well. And reveal spatial patterns, especially depending on differences of the GIS, geographic locations. So we can identify the various patterns, especially as an example, we can recognize how especially the rivers, the network is available, and then how the rivers as well as the streams are actually located in a particular geographic area, right? And from what direction to what it actually flows. Likewise, we can recognize the spatial patterns. So all these analyses are possible to be done with the GIS the support. And simplifies confirmation of observation by the others. Especially we can produce the maps, and these maps we can give for others to analyze. Therefore we can simplify their decision making the capabilities with the support of GIS. And these applications are very much easy to be done, even the tools very much easy to be operated. And here you can find world leading such applications, ArcGIS and the ArcGIS desktop sorry, and the QGIS 3, 2, these are very much widely considered to be effective application for GIS operations. And as I mentioned, at ICBT we train students with the QGIS 3 platform as well as necessary guideline advice also, necessary instructions also given in order to adapt to ArcGIS platform, because those are leading GIS applications what is available in the world at the moment. So you also can browse these the websites and then get to know about. But the QGIS you can download and then can have a hands-on training. So this is what, right, as I mentioned earlier, if you use the GIS, if we use the spatial technology, what you can find is that data gathering systems, data processing systems, and at the end we can find products. So here we can find data is gathered from various platforms, can be satellites, can be earthbound, can be spacebound, and we can mix these images or as data along with non-spatial data, or as what we call as operational data. We can join spatial data, and at the same time we can mix all these data together and we can produce informative maps and the models we can develop, and documentation also we can produce, and evidences also we can provide based on various happenings. Especially in terms of the models, models are very much interesting part of the GIS, because you can program a specific the GIS processing activities within few seconds oriented completion with the support of the model. So that here the models are different from the other models. These models are what? Processing models. Therefore, if you want to get to know about the processing model, it's better you can join with any the GIS subject oriented program what is delivered by us. Therefore, you will have a very much interesting understanding about this, because these are advanced the part of the GIS processing. So this is what the fusion technology is. Even the what we elaborated with the especially the webinar, the poster, the fusion, how the technologies are being fused in order to get done very much accurate the products based on the requirements. Now here you can find maps what is produced by the GIS, varieties of maps available, Firefly maps, dot maps, graduated symbols map, vector directed maps, distributive flow maps, density equalizing cartograms, Voronoi diagrams, and then choropleth diagram, varieties of all we are learning, especially under geospatial technologies. And the heat maps we can find, icochrome map, isochrome map, and then daisymmetric maps, space-time cubes, topographic maps, contour maps, especially to develop 3D models. We use these the contour maps, data visualizations, we using various colors. We can visualize specific data in various regions, and non-contiguous the cartogram, because isolated the areas we can symbolize, we can make it colorful and then provide for decision making purpose. And then door line cartograms also we can develop with the support of the GIS. The surface maps we can develop, schematic maps, especially as a diagram we can develop, network flow we can develop, and then coxcomb charts we can easily develop, time slice maps we can develop, and hexagonal binding maps we can develop, and then the word topography maps also we can develop, and the radial flow maps, especially direction showing in which direction, as an example, into which direction virus is spreading, to which direction thunderstorm is actually the going towards, to which direction example a particular flow of air happens. Like all these we can easily develop using the GIS. Now here we can find GIS the topographic maps. Now we discuss about these are GIS maps what we can produce, and these are the maps that we can make use of along with the GIS for various analysis purpose, because these the maps readily available by various organizations for us to do analysis. As an example, if you want to analyze the USA, some areas, yes, we can use USA topographic map what is given the free of charge by various platforms. If you want, I can provide you the details later on. And the advantage of this map is that the details are provided along with the map, but this is processed by the humans with the support of GIS application. Okay, so that is a difference between a topographic map, because these are informative map, not just images, not just surfaces. These are very much informative in nature. Therefore, here we can find varieties of such map you can easily access. Open Topo Map, these platform available you can easily access. SV World Topography, right? Google Terrain, you can access these online. United States Geographical Survey, USGS, very much important sites. You can register and then download images. Ordnance Survey OS system, German Federal Center for Geoinformation and Geodesy, and Natural Resources Canada, Swiss Topo, France, Geosense Australia. So these are map providing system, but not just maps, remember, right? Therefore, from these you can download maps and then can do some analysis. Okay, so we discussed so far the geospatial technology overview, right? So in this overview wise, the main attention for the purpose of recognizing GPS systems, remote sensing systems, and the GIS system. For all these three systems together, you can do any type of geospatial analysis. So it is what we call as fusion technology. And this subject domain, there are vast number of job opportunities available. There are vast number of applications available. There are higher number of leading organizations available. They are seeking educated professionals with hands-on training in order to place for various positions in their companies. Especially, you can work as a scientist, you can work as a GIS or as geographical information system programmer, you can work as a data scientist, you can work as a data analyst. Likewise, there are plethora of job opportunities available in this particular domain, and you can select any particular preferred area. If you are preferred in satellite system, then you can select that. GPS, yes. If you are very much good at fond of learning about remote sensing, yes, you can consider about the remote sensing systems. If you are fond at let's assume GIS application and then processing oriented involved with, yes, you can select the GIS, right? But all these are collectively we call as geospatial technology. There are more available. These are the major areas comes under this. If you have interest, you can easily communicate with us. Especially, you can communicate with Mr. Teacher if you want more about this particular webinar related information. And at any time, you can reach us. You can talk to us. If you really interested in this subject area, you can question to practically show everything how to do, especially GIS application in the practical currently we are doing here, and it is really interesting. Okay, and we are the one and only private institution in Kandy as well as in Sri Lanka. Currently, GIS application oriented knowledge is delivered to a recognized course offered by Cardiff Metropolitan University. Therefore, I am requesting you, if you have the interest, you should not wait further. You can query us. Either you can join with MSc in IT if you have enough qualification, or as an undergraduate, you can join with our degree program, even our top-up program, and then you can envision this technology-based advantage. And really happy about your presence here and interest actually paid to involve with this the webinar. So I actually explain something brief about this technology, right? With another particular similar like webinar, right? We will try to discuss about the practical side, something very interesting, but real practical oriented understanding. If you want to get, you can join with us, and you can get a valuable higher educational certificate from us. Okay, and thank you very much, all of you, for joining with us. Okay, I'm always available in order to listen or as to support you for any particular queries based on this geospatial, the subject domain, right? Feel free to communicate with us. So with this, I'm going to finish today's the webinar, the new for you. But for us, this is something common. Okay? The subject area. So I hope that most of you were able to get some additional knowledge for your the domain, so for your domain knowledge, and I believe this session is actually practically as well as theoretically given you particular idea to start and engage with this widely and very much interactive and highly interesting subject area. Of now, further and further involving with this. And all of you, thank you again for being with us with the webinar. And I hope you all enjoy this, the time and wish you all the best and have a nice